Okay.
And there's the clip, like nothing happened.
Perhaps you should go and speak to her.
I didn't realize she...
Don't be timid, go.
I wouldn't know
See,
where...
I am, do you?
Me?
Everything is possible for you because you have the only two things worth having. Youth and beauty.
He has the only two things worth having, youth and beauty. Do you guys agree or disagree? Just like a show of hands, who agrees with that statement? That those are the only two things worth having? Okay, who disagrees? Why do you disagree?
I think there's more to having a look on the outside, and he may have not been getting at that, but that's how I took it, that it was just all outside.
Anyone else?
I kind of took it a little differently. I think it's just saying, was it youth is wasted on the young, or something like that? So I mean, I think he was kind of referring to that sort of idea where he's got these things that, I mean, he's not always going to have, and he probably kind of takes for granted a little bit, and then, I mean, everybody looking at him probably envies him for those sort of attributes, but that, yeah, they're not necessarily things he's always going to have.
Exactly. Okay. Anyone else before we move on? Alright, just take a look at the paper I handed out. We're going to look at that short first paragraph. People say sometimes that beauty is only superficial. That may be so, but at least it is not so superficial as thought is. To me, beauty is the wonder of wonders. It is only shallow people who do not judge by appearances. The true mystery of the world is the visible, not the invisible. Do you guys think that thought's more superficial than beauty is? Can thoughts be superficial?
I feel like, yeah, thoughts can be superficial, but I don't think, like, they, like, always are.
Anyone else? Because before we said beauty was a superficial thing, why do you think, is this just him being provocative? Is this him having a hidden meaning to this? I'm going to play the rest of the clip, and I want you guys to keep this idea of superficiality in mind about how really, like, beauty is the real essence of people. And also keep in mind, what do you think Lord Henry is trying to say to Dorian by saying these things?
Let's go. I was lost.
That's probably our husband.
Yes, very sensible. People die of common sense, Dorian. One lost moment at a time. Life is a moment. There's no hereafter. So make it burn, always, with the hardest flame.
If you saw at the end of that, Lord Henry says, people die of common sense, one lost moment at a time. Like I asked before, what do you think he's trying to say to Dorian by those statements?
I mean, I guess you could kind of say that, like, the whole life is short and, yeah, nobody lives forever. And I mean, it's, yeah, looking at, like, the missed opportunities or whatever he was talking about, missed moments. That, yeah, whatever, every one of those you miss out on, you're not going to get back, and, you know, life is short.
Anyone else? Alright, let's go to the second passage. Yes, Mr. Gray, the gods have been good to you. But what the gods give, they quickly take away. You have only a few years in which to really live, perfectly and fully. When your youth goes, your beauty will go with it, and then you will suddenly discover that there are no triumphs left for you. or have to content yourself with those mean triumphs that the memory of your past will make more bitter than defeats. Every month as it wanes brings you nearer to something dreadful. Time is jealous of you, and wars against your lilies and your roses. You will become sallow, and hollow-cheeked, and dull-eyed. You will suffer horribly. Do you guys think that we really only have a few years? I mean, the age that he's talking about right now is the age that we're at. Do you think that in 3 years of time that there just won't be like anything left? No.
I don't think so. I think beauty's in the eye of the beholder, so beauty can last forever.
Mhm.
I also think he's still kind of talking about this more like superficial idea of beauty and kind of youth, and you know, like we were saying before, where he's quickly going to reach a point where, I mean, yeah, he's going to be too old to really have the youth and beauty anymore. He's just going to be beyond that point in his life. And I mean, if that's what he cherishes so much, then by the time he gets old enough that he doesn't have that anymore, then he's literally going to have nothing to look forward to the rest of his life.
Mhm.
Where I mean, when he's in this state where he considers himself like beautiful and perfect or whatever, that I mean, yeah, it's quickly gonna. I mean, in this course of a life, you're pretty early past that point where you have your youth.
I actually have a question. Is Dorian proud of his youth, or is everyone else proud of Dorian's youth?
As of right now, everybody else is proud of him, and they're kind of just attracted to him because of his youth and beauty, and he kind of holds, as you can kind of tell, like a power over him, and people are attracted to it. And the next question I was going to ask actually was, do you think that Lord Henry kind of has any reason for saying this? I mean, in the video, he was like portrayed like in his 40s. Do you think that, like, why do you think he's saying this?
I think he's jealous. I mean, I feel like that's what he's saying, that it would lead me to believe that, like, perhaps he was good looking in his youth and he gave it away, and, like, just thought about approaching females and didn't really do that. And he's trying to save Dorian from his own mistakes.
Do you think he's really trying to save him? I know, Camilla, you had a statement before.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of say what Kay said, just that I don't know, I feel like he was once like kind of like Dorian was. Now he's not anymore, so he's like looking back on it, trying to like, I don't know if he's helping him out anymore or not, but that's my thoughts.
Okay. Let's just move on to the third passage. Realize your youth while you have it. Don't squander the gold of days, listening to the tedious, trying to improve the hopeless failure, or giving away your life to the ignorant, the common, and the vulgar. These are the sickly aims, the false ideals of our age. Live the wonderful life that is in you. Let nothing be lost upon you. Be always searching for new sensations. Be afraid of nothing. A new hedonism. That is what our century wants. From that last passage, how do you think Lord Henry is telling Dorian to live his life? I know that we kind of hinted on it already.
Or I would say, like, dangerously, like, he's telling Dorian that, like, getting married and having kids is just, like, not the way to go, and everyone regrets it, and he's gonna regret it too, and I just feel like he wants to get Dorian in trouble
Mm-hmm.
by having him be crazy. I don't know.
Going by this passage in the clip, it's almost like, don't prepare for the future, just live in today, and don't, I mean, you might die, so whatever, just live in your youth while you still have it.
Now he kind of mentions a new hedonism. Do you guys know what hedonism is?
No.
Okay. That's what I kind of figured. Hedonism is, if you ever watch Futurama, they have a robot called Hedonism Bot, and he just like sits down, eats grapes all day, just indulges in like passions, and they kind of just live for the moment, live for the passion. And that's kind of what hedonism is. So, how do you think that this new hedonism is going to be run? By what Lord Henry is trying to tell Dorian?
So I mean, yeah, he's just kind of telling him to just indulge himself and sort of do whatever he wants and kind of whatever is going to please himself is what he should be doing at this point in his life.
Do you guys agree with that? Do you kind of buy into what he's saying? I see Camilla shaking her head a little bit.
Yeah. This last passage was more convincing.
Mhm.
I should just live my life.
Now, why do you think that's more convincing than the other two?
I don't know, it says like live the wonderful life that's in you. That makes you think like I can do great things. So
Mhm. Let it hang. Okay.
Yeah. Also, this last passage seems a little more broad and generalized coming from him. It's not like specifically talking about Dorian and talking about like the beauty, and I mean it's more talking about just like the promise of youth and sort of the ability that everybody has, or how we all could kind of relate to that, and how everybody sort of has that ability, and especially in youth where they can kind of just like do whatever they want. They really have to take advantage of life.
Mhm.
Where the other ones are really about like the superficial and the beauty and how that's all going to disappear one day. And not everyone necessarily feels that way, although everybody from the last passage does kind of feel like they do have their youth and can kind of get the most out of life.
Mhm. And just as like a concluding question, do you think that our society can relate in any way to this idea of like the new hedonism? Do you think that our society actually has like some of these ideals that obsess over beauty?
Well, I think we definitely have like the obsession with beauty, and I think we see that a lot with like if you ever watch like E-News and stuff, like they're always talking about, oh, she's too skinny or she's too fat, and it's always just like looking at those kind of things. But even the last paragraph kind of reminds me of like Carpe Diem or whatever, like seize the day.
Mhm.
And like I watch a lot of Fuel TV, so it reminds me of like just the whole station, like like sports and everything is kind of like that. Like, because like the culture that many of us, like most of the stuff that we watch and take part in is kind of that.
Like on a positive spin, what Steph said, like Carpe Diem does seem like a positive thing, but I feel like our society is more into like the instant gratification and like the internet and having things right away. It's like we don't want to wait, we want it now, and that kind of feeds into like hedonism and self-indulgence and the whole thing. So I guess our society is more negative in some ways than positive.
Anyone else?
I was gonna say that the people that we like typically stereotype that are obsessed with beauty, like celebrities who get plastic surgery every month or whatever, they indulge a lot. Not necessarily in beauty, but like they have like houses. So I think our society does have this indulgence and like that type of instant gratification. Definitely.
I mean, if you think about it, when you think of like someone that you idolize, do they tend to be younger? Do they tend to be someone famous?
I mean, I'd say yes. I mean, those are just the people that are kind of put in our face all the time, also. So, I mean, yeah, you don't see a ton of really old people all over the news and in movies and that kind of stuff. It's mostly the young, really attractive people that are all over the TV, and magazines, and all that stuff.
I think that's a good point, that if you think about it, the youth is kind of pushing out the older generations. And I think that's what Lord Henry's kind of hinting at, and I think that is what's creating his bitterness, if you think about it, that he was kind of already is slightly getting pushed out as the years go on, and he sees this guy, Dorian, and he just has everything that he's lost, and he feels like it's unattainable to get it back. And that's really just how society works, and that's how our society is kind of connected, that these are kind of ugly truths that we kind of like push away with things like beauty's only skin deep and other phrases that just kind of like make us think that there's more to life, but sometimes there are these ugly truths in our society. That's the end.
Okay. Thanks, Allie. Okay, so do the same thing for Allie that you did with Stephanie last week. Write down